Afternoon everyone, thanks for tuning into today's second video. We've got 3 videos today, and the first one this morning. You can find that on the homepage, looking at the next 8 to 10 days. This evening I'll have the third update for the bank holiday weekend, and of course coming up at the end of August. But this update is for Stormwatch, because we've got some pretty hot air coming up over the weekend, but also unstable. There's going to be a lot of instability with this. And certainly risk of some heavy rain. I'm not quite sure how much in way of lightning thunder there's going to be with this, but I think there will be some heavy rain around over the weekend, particularly in the north and west on Saturday, and then perhaps further east on Sunday. Very uncertain scenario though, so I'll have a look at all the detail in a moment. But before I get on with that, just to quickly say about the ads at GovService.com. There are links to articles on all the pages, so you have a browser widget you have to click through. Thanks so much for doing that. And there's also video ads, they open up in the content. When you watch them, they'll close back up again. Thanks very much for getting involved, and thanks for doing that. So let's just start off with the facts charts to put things in context, really. Now, these charts are the human interpretation of the models by the forecasters at the UK Met Office. British Isles is just here, right slap bang in the centre of the chart. We're starting off at midnight on Saturday. Now, what's going on at midnight on Saturday is that we've got an area of low pressure out in the Atlantic and attendant weather fronts that are strung out over the UK, a couple of cold fronts. They're going to be pretty weak. They look quite dramatic, but those fronts are going to be pretty weak through Friday and Saturday. They will produce some showery bursts of rain tomorrow, but generally not doing too much. Now, as we go through into midday on Saturday, what's happened is that the cold fronts have turned into warm fronts. So just go back to midnight Saturday. There's the cold fronts over the country, where they're actually occlusions, which means they're partly warm and cold fronts. But if we go through 12 hours again to midday Saturday, we see we've actually got warm fronts over the country. What's happening there is that the fronts have ground to halt over the country, and we've got a push of hot air coming up out of France, and that's sort of sending those fronts from cold fronts or occluded fronts into warm fronts. Quite interesting, and it doesn't happen all that often actually that you see that occurring over the top of the country. But behind those warm fronts, as the name implies, we are introducing warm air into the country, so it's going to get pretty hot on Saturday afternoon across parts of the Midlands, East Anglia and South East England. Temperatures could be approaching 30 degrees, 86 Fahrenheit, but these fronts will be quite active by this point as they're sort of turning into warm fronts. They'll be turning quite active, so there could be some heavy rain, possibly some thunder along those fronts. Now, as we go through into midnight on Sunday, so we've gone through another 12 hours, warm fronts are pushing northwards and westwards. At the same time, though, an area of low pressure is developing on the southern side of those warm fronts. So within all that hot and humid air, there's a lot of instability, and it's generating an area of low pressure. You get the idea of this. This is a very, very complicated pattern, though, that's occurring. What we can say is that along these fronts, there is likely to be quite a bit of heavy rain, possibly some thunder as well. And as this area of low pressure is developing, that will be generating instability and possibly pushing up some thunder out of France. By midday on Sunday, things are becoming much more simplified in that an area of low pressure is just sitting over top of the country, and now we're starting to push these fronts across the country as cold fronts, introducing cooler and fresher air from the Atlantic Ocean. But obviously within this system there could be quite a lot of heavy rain, quite a lot of thunder potentially as well. And the general idea is that because it's such an unusual and such a complicated pattern, we are going to have to wait a little bit longer to get the detail on it really, but potentially certainly there some quite heavy rain and some thunder. Now let's see how the GFS is seeing things for 6 o'clock in the morning on Saturday. There's that sort of idea along this line here, this isobar, is where we've got those weather fronts that are starting off as cold fronts are turning into warm fronts as this warmer air pushes up out of France. As we go through another 24 hours, there's that low pressure developing within this very warm and unstable air along those weather fronts. As we go through another 24 hours, this takes us to 6 o'clock in the morning on Monday. Then the whole thing's become much more simplified and just an area of low pressure moving through the country, back in the air in off the Atlantic as it does so, and introducing cooler and fresher conditions from the west. The upper air temperatures show the hot air coming out of France through the course of Saturday. This is 6 o'clock in the morning on Saturday, with that hot air down over France. Cool air is out to the north and west of the UK, and we're sort of in between. With pretty warm air, but the air does get warmer as we go through Saturday itself. There's the heat pushing out of France into the country. So that's the warm front sort of introducing that warmer air on the southern and eastern side of those fronts. By 6 o'clock in the morning on Sunday, we are all within warm air, but you notice that cooler air begins to start pushing in from the Atlantic as a low pressure system is developing within this warmth and instability. By the time you go through to Sunday evening, cooler, fresher air is starting to push across the country with those areas of low pressure. We finish up in a relatively cool air mass by the time we get through to 6 o'clock in the morning on Monday. Now, obviously, there's going to be quite a lot of precipitation with all of this. So this is the rainfall forecast from the GFS model. This is for 6 o'clock in the morning on Sunday. This is when we've got those weak cold fronts across the country, but they're beginning to turn into warm fronts, so that's when they'll start to reinvigorate. And you can see that's happening from the southwest along this pulse of heavy rain that's coming into southwestern parts of England. By 6 o'clock in the evening on Saturday, lots of heavy rain, mainly in the north and west, so Scotland, northern England, North Wales, down into the southwest of England, but risk of some heavy rain. Possibly thunder with this. It could be prolonged rain, it could be thundery rain, it could be thunderstorms. I'm not quite sure, actually, whether it'll be a general rain or whether it will be thunder. I would tend to go more towards general rain being along these warm fronts. Remember, risk of thunder coming in on the southern and eastern side of the warm fronts. You notice how much of the Midlands, East Anglia, South East England is largely dry at 6 o'clock in the evening on Saturday. Very warm, if not hot really. Temperatures up to 28, 29 quite widely across England and Wales. One or two places, say around London, wouldn't be at all surprised to see 30 degrees, 86 in Fahrenheit on Saturday afternoon. So a pretty hot, pretty humid day. We have got convective potential there in the north on Saturday. We're in those green colours with the Cape and lifted chart. So that does imply there's a risk, so certainly just a risk of lightning and thunder in the north and west. Now things get very heavy with that rain up the western side into the early hours of Sunday. We've got the red colours appearing there. That's torrential rain, possibly with lightning and thunder up the Irish Sea. Still mostly dry in the east and the southeast, but through the course of Sunday morning, all of that precipitation starts pushing east, and we've got more sort of showers or storms perhaps coming out of northern parts of France. By the time we get through to midday on Sunday, we've got a very well-defined band of rain across many parts of the country, stretched out from northwest England, down through the Midlands into the southeast. Still mainly dry at this time in the far east and northeast. We haven't got great rates of convection at this point, but there is the risk of a little bit of lightning and thunder mixed in. And then the whole lot pushes northwards and eastwards as we go through into Sunday evening. Remember, this is sort of a cold front that now swinging across the country. So we go from a cold front to a warm front, back to a cold front as we go through the weekend. A very complicated weather pattern to decipher. Now, will this be a band of rain or will it be thunderstorms? It's very difficult to say at this juncture, but what I would say is just watch this space. So for Saturday, we've got the greatest risk of rain in the west and in the northwest, particularly up the Irish Sea into Saturday evening. Could well be lightning and thunder in with that. It'll be a hot day further east and southeast and mostly dry. And then on Saturday night and into Sunday, we find an area of rain, possibly with thunderstorms, pushing northwards and eastwards across the country. And that could give quite a wet day, actually, on Sunday, with risk of some very heavy rain indeed. It's a very, very complicated one, though, this. So do keep watching this space. It's becoming into the time frame for the high-resolution models from tomorrow. Well, later today, really, but particularly tomorrow. So we will know more as we go through the next day or so. I'll be doing more updates, particularly tomorrow and on Saturday. But that's all for now. Thanks for watching.